What if Plo Koon was at the Battle of Coruscant to stop Anakin from killing Dooku in cold blood? That's our story for today. I really enjoy this one. Plo Koon is one of the more fun characters to write about, so I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Our story begins on Cato Nemoidia. After months of battles on and off again, Jedi General Master Plo Koon and his clone legion have taken down the Separatists way ahead of schedule. This battle was projected to last at least another week or so, but Plo, Wolf, and the rest of the Wolf Pack completed a successful infiltration into the Separatist base and arrested Separatist leader Shu Mai without much struggle. It was a hard-fought mission, and Plo was very proud of his men. And now he was speaking to Grandmaster Yoda via hologram, asking what should come next. Yoda closed his eyes, suddenly feeling something in the Force. He was on Coruscant, war was waning down, and he was unsure of what path to take. But with a sudden jolt, Yoda realized Coruscant was under attack. The Separatists were clearly feeling the pressure of the Outer Rim sieges, and now they were taking a final, desperate attack on Coruscant. So Yoda immediately asked Plo to return. They need every available Jedi. Plo said it will be done, and the two of them would go their separate ways. Plo turned to Wolf and told the boys they were going home. Coruscant is under attack. And so while Plo and his men took off for Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi also took off for Coruscant, while Ahsoka took off for Mandalore to take down Maul. Throughout hyperlanes across the galaxy, Jedi were on the move to protect the Republic. The battle above Coruscant was the largest, bloodiest, most deadly battle of the entire war. Geonosis was horrible, Megiddo was awful, Felucia was a nightmare, but today the Separatists launched everything they had, led by Dooku and Grievous themselves, to attack the planet. Countless civilians were caught in the crossfire, as Yoda, Windu, Fisto, and many other Jedi tried to protect the planet, but Palpatine was captured and brought aboard Grievous's ship in space. And this would become Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Plo's mission. Plo was further behind the other two Jedi, so when he and his clones eventually emerged from hyperspace, Plo split his men into two, half down to the surface and the other half in space, while he goes to help Anakin and Obi-Wan. In all of the crossfire, Plo was able to dock his ship on the side of the invisible hand and enter through a damaged hole. Breathing in space was always so useful for him. He entered the ship, finding R2-D2, who told Plo to go to the spire, and so he did. Plo entered the elevator, and as the doors swung open, Plo could hear the final clashes of the sabers as Anakin reached down, cutting through Dooku's wrists and suddenly having two sabers across Dooku's neck. Plo was about to go interfere, but he felt a slight disturbance in the Force. It was like an accidental reveal of it, and Plo instead hid behind the wall, listening in on what was going to happen next. He heard the Chancellor say, "Good, Anakin, good. Kill him. Kill him now." And this immediately was very suspicious to Plo. Why was Palpatine so proud of Anakin? Why hadn't Grievous already jumped to hyperspace? Why would Palpatine ask Anakin to kill an unarmed man? Anakin said he shouldn't. It's not the Jedi way. And this made Plo happy. But then Palpatine barked, "Do it!" And so Plo acted, turning from around the corner to grab Dooku with the Force, pulling him away from Anakin. He put his hands up in peace, then told Anakin it was already over. Dooku is not a threat. They are Jedi. They will show Dooku the mercy that he has failed to show so many throughout the war. And Plo did use a quick Force blast to knock the confused, broken Dooku unconscious. Anakin dropped the red saber and put away his blue one. He stammered, trying to find words. He was extremely embarrassed and ashamed of what he's done. His wrists were moving to kill Dooku when Plo pulled him away. No, to murder him. He turned and unlocked Palpatine without even making eye contact. He lost some trust for his friend in this moment. He is not a murderer. And they would leave together as Plo carried Dooku and Anakin now carried Obi-Wan through the ship. Plo was searching the Force for the feeling he felt upon entering the battle, but it was gone. Plo remembered it being a feeling of glee or excitement, and he wondered if it was Dooku, but that didn't make sense. Before he could think more, the ray shield dropped and captured them all, and before long, they were taken away to General Grievous. Upon meeting with Grievous, Obi-Wan has now woken up, greeting Plo with a smile, seeing him carrying Dooku. But now Grievous had Dooku placed down and had the Jedi prisoners. Luckily, R2 was able to free them, and now the three Jedi battled Grievous and his Magna Guards. Grievous laughed, telling the Jedi they lose, and he smashed through the window to immediately leave. But as he did, Plo Koon leapt after him, flying through the broken window, cutting through Grievous's cable that kept him locked on to the ship. Now the two of them were floating through space, and they were now dueling while floating. The debris of a destroyed ship floated over to them, and both Plo and Grievous landed on it, continuing their sudden duel in space. Obi-Wan, Palpatine, and Anakin watched with amazement as the two warriors, surrounded by battling starships, battled on a large piece of debris. Plo flipped through the air, using the Force to keep him just above Grievous, and he swiped into the droid general's shoulder. Grievous screamed in anger, then crawled at Plo on all fours, kicking him to the ground, and as Plo recovered, he tapped a button on his wrist, calling his clones to him. The two of them continued their duel on the debris, and Grievous was cutting into the debris, trying to separate himself from Plo, but the Jedi Master suddenly ducked, then spun off of the debris, back towards the invisible hand. Grievous yelled out at him that he was a coward, but suddenly, 3 clone fighter ships flew above Grievous, firing down on him. Grievous had no real protection out here, and so he was obliterated without ever realizing what was truly happening. Plo saluted to Wolf, Comet, and Jag as they flew away with pieces of Grievous now floating through space. Plo cut back into the ship, telling the Jedi he didn't expect to be doing that, but now they should probably get out of here. And so they would run through with Dooku as Anakin took control, barely landing half a ship on the Coruscant runways. And upon having another happy landing, Anakin was instructed to go with the politicians to recap the mission, while Plo and Kenobi go to the council. But before leaving, Plo made a point to go up to Anakin, placing a calming hand on the boy's shoulder, telling him he did well. Palpatine is a politician caught up in the war, but Anakin is a Jedi. He defeated Dooku and hesitated long enough to avoid killing him, despite the encouragement from Palpatine. Anakin felt a weight off his shoulders as Plo said this to him, and he thanked the Jedi Master before they parted ways. Plo and Kenobi wanted to take Dooku with them, but Palpatine insisted he was a Republic prisoner, and so he was escorted to the most secure prison on Coruscant. And both Plo and Obi-Wan soon found themselves meeting Masters Windu and Yoda. The rest of the council was in battle, or helping those who suffered from the battle on Coruscant. Obi-Wan was knocked out for most of the battle, but luckily Plo was able to recap what he saw between Anakin and Dooku, and Palpatine. He told Yoda and Windu that as Anakin defeated Dooku, he felt a disturbance in the Force, a feeling of joy, of excitement, of glee. But it couldn't have come from Dooku or Anakin. That just wouldn't have made sense, and Plo would have recognized either of them in the Force. And then Plo described how Palpatine basically encouraged Anakin to kill Dooku where he knelt, just cut off his head in cold blood. All 4 of the Jedi in this room knew the answer to the mystery of the Sith was right in front of them, but they were all way too shocked to admit it. Palpatine held on to power for way too long. Relations with the Jedi were much worse than they ever were, as neither side trusted each other any longer. Master Mundi had once brought up the idea that perhaps the Sith is in Palpatine's inner circle, but they never considered the horrible reality that Palpatine himself could be the Sith. And they all knew now the answer may lie with Dooku, so Plo Koon, Obi-Wan, Windu, and Yoda decided they would go in this evening, pay Dooku a visit. He was once a Jedi. Perhaps he still has some good in him, and will do what is right. The Jedi only had suspicions up to this point, but if Dooku testifies to the Senate that he's been working with Palpatine, then this war could come to an immediate end. As of now, the Jedi were informed that the war would continue so long as the Separatist leaders like Newt Gunray and Wat Tambor were still out there. Even with Dooku captured and Grievous destroyed, Palpatine refused to give up his emergency powers and end the war, so the Jedi plan to interrogate Dooku, and if that fails, they will have to demand Palpatine give up his emergency powers. Windu and Yoda were both clearly stressed. Plo and Obi-Wan hadn't been on Coruscant for months, so seeing the two masters on the council so worried was not very comforting. And so, as the 4 Jedi went to recover before being allowed to speak with Dooku, Palpatine began his own planning. He was right now meeting with Commander Fox, and he had the Commander remove his helmet to share a drink with him. Palpatine knew that Fox would be the one escorting the Jedi to meet Dooku later that night, and Palpatine was just thanking Fox for everything he'd done through the war. In reality, Palpatine had been studying the bombing from Barriss Offee on the temple. She used nanodroids and had them inserted into a temple worker's food, so Palpatine took the recent months to explore a similar method, as the old method was now being scanned by security, but this time, Palpatine would do it with a drink instead of food. Dooku had to die, and Fox could serve his next role well, though he did not know what he was up for. Palpatine smiled as Fox finished the drink and went on his way back to the Republic prison, thanking Palpatine for everything. Later that evening, the Jedi squad of Windu, Plo, Kenobi, and Yoda took a shuttle to the prison, and on the way over they discussed Anakin. He seemed to be key in all of this, but he hadn't even returned to the temple after the battle above Coruscant. It was nearly nighttime now, and Kenobi said he suspects Anakin is with Senator Amidala. They are good friends, and Anakin has been away for months. Yoda nodded in agreement, saying perhaps the council must once more discuss attachments with Anakin. Before long, they were in the prison, and Commander Fox was guiding them down the halls, then into the extra secure wing. Upon entering to see Dooku restrained, blast doors closed behind Fox, as he was now locked in here with the Jedi. He walked over to unlock Dooku's restraints, but then he suddenly began to groan, falling to the ground in extreme pain. Palpatine had accessed the security cameras, and upon seeing Fox get next to Dooku with the Jedi locked inside, Palpatine activated the bomb inside of Commander Fox. A second before it went off, Plo sensed something, but it was too late. He and Obi-Wan were in the back of the large cell, while Yoda and Windu were right next to Fox and Dooku. The explosion suddenly erupted, and it took Yoda, Windu, Fox, and Dooku immediately. Plo and Obi-Wan together put their hands up, but they were still both slammed into the blast door, immediately being knocked out, as the last thing Plo heard was the doors open as alarms were blaring, as another clone said there were only 2 survivors, and Plo fainted. The next morning, Plo Koon and Obi-Wan would slowly wake up inside of the Coruscant medical facility. It took a moment, but Plo soon remembered what happened, and as his eyes adjusted to the lights, he saw Anakin sitting in between them. His eyes had heavy bags under them, as if Anakin hadn't slept at all, and Plo could feel the fear, anxiety, and sadness radiating off of Anakin. And as Anakin saw the 2 Jedi awaken, he felt a bit better. But last night, he fell asleep before hearing about the bomb, and in his sleep, Anakin had horrible nightmares of Padme dying in childbirth. They were truly horrible, and when he woke up, he found his comlink, alerting him to what had happened, so he came here immediately. In a morning speech to the Senate, Chancellor Palpatine recapped what happened. Jedi Masters Windu, Yoda, Plo Koon, and Obi-Wan went to interview Dooku, and a bomb killed Dooku, Fox, Windu, and Yoda. Investigations showed the bomb was made from nanodroids, injected from a normal drink for the clones. But it was the same method that former Jedi Knight Barriss Offee once used to bomb the Jedi Temple hangar. And so, Palpatine declared everyone was under suspicion, including the Jedi. But upon waking up, both Plo and Obi-Wan had heavy suspicions as to who did this: Palpatine. Commander Fox was closer to him than any other clone, and the Jedi were on their way to interview Dooku to get him to admit to working with Palpatine. It had to have been him. And now 2 of the greatest Jedi were dead, along with the key lead to tying Palpatine to the Separatists. Plo and Obi-Wan discussed this in the medical bay, with Anakin in attendance. Anakin wanted to deny it, but Plo laid everything out, including the disturbance in the Force after Anakin defeated Dooku, and it all began to make sense. And so Anakin told Plo and Kenobi about his nightmares last night, asking what he should do. Obi-Wan just blatantly asked if they were about Padme, and Anakin said yes. Plo said that the Sith will try to separate them by using what they love against them, and as for Anakin, that may be Padme. It was much more clear now that Palpatine was trying to create division between the galaxy and the Jedi, while also separating Anakin from the Jedi. And so Plo and Obi-Wan decided to have Anakin get close to Palpatine, express concerns about the Jedi Order, and if he reveals himself to be a Sith, then Anakin must come back to them. This plan was agreed upon. Anakin would spy on Palpatine, and Plo gave Anakin a wrist communicator, something he and Wolf often would use. All Anakin has to do is tap the button on the wrist, and Plo will be immediately alerted to his location. Plo told Anakin to do it if things with Palpatine ever get to a point where Anakin suspects he may truly be a Sith and he is in danger. And it would all begin with him going to the Chancellor's office, while Plo and Obi-Wan gathered the entire Jedi Council for an emergency meeting. As everyone arrived, either in person or as a hologram, there were 2 seats very noticeably empty. With Yoda and Windu dead and their seats empty, there was a very somber feeling in here. The council honored them with a long moment of silence, feeling into the Force for guidance, and soon the meeting would begin. Plo Koon and Obi-Wan described what they knew and their suspicions about Palpatine being a Sith Lord. Ki-Adi-Mundi said they should remove him from power immediately. Dooku and Grievous are dead. The Separatists are falling apart. Why is he allowed to stay in office this long? But Plo said that would be playing right into his hands. It is clear from this morning's speech that Palpatine is trying to blame the bombing on the Jedi, and if they go to arrest him now, they will only look more guilty. They need proof. They have to be patient, trust Skywalker to get the information necessary from Palpatine in order to arrest him. But now Coleman Cash spoke up, which was rare, but with Windu and Yoda gone, the Council itself was falling into chaos. Coleman asked if they can trust Anakin to choose the Jedi over Palpatine, and Obi-Wan took offense to this, saying Anakin is a true Jedi. He will do what is best for the Order and for the Republic, just like he always has. Tensions in here were high. Yoda was typically a calming influence, but he was gone, and today, the older master Appo Ranci spoke up, saying that Skywalker has proven himself time and time again during this war. They must trust him one final time. And everyone would calm down, coming to an agreement. Skywalker was given a few days, but if he fails, the Jedi must move on Palpatine anyways. And so the Council was dismissed. Back with Anakin, Palpatine told the boy that he was to become his personal representative on the Jedi Council. With the unfortunate deaths of Yoda and Windu, Palpatine said he needs someone on the Council he can trust, just in case the Jedi decide to target him next. And Anakin spun around, igniting his lightsaber without even really realizing it, as he asked Palpatine what exactly he was insinuating. Palpatine simply told Anakin that it was a theory. He suspects someone in the Jedi Order thought Dooku deserved to die, and so they did something about it. Anakin knew he should be using patience, but he wasn't feeling patient right now. That bomb almost killed Obi-Wan and Plo, and it did kill Yoda and Windu. He wasn't going to just let Palpatine get away with blaming the Jedi, and so Anakin said he thinks Palpatine did it. Palpatine smiled softly, then asked what if it was him? Would he be so wrong to want Dooku dead? He caused the death of trillions in this war, and Palpatine closed his eyes, saying that he felt that Anakin wanted to kill Dooku on that ship. Palpatine continued then, saying that he knows Anakin loved the feeling of cutting Dooku's hands off. That power was like the craving to a hunger Anakin barely knew that he had. Anakin told Palpatine he is wrong. He's a Jedi. And Anakin tapped the button on his wrist, alerting Plo to his location. But Palpatine then asked if he felt that same power, that same strength when he slaughtered the Tuskens. Anakin told Palpatine he promised not to ever bring that up, but Palpatine asked Anakin what he was so afraid of. He has the power to do whatever he wants, be whoever he wants, but he lets the Jedi hold him back, treat him like a worthless toy to just fight in their battles. And Palpatine went for it all, telling Anakin that through him, he can have that power for eternity. Together, the two of them can achieve the power to conquer death, not only for themselves, but for those he loves. Only through him can they achieve power greater than anyone before, and save Padme from certain death. Anakin wanted to stab Palpatine through the heart, but something deep inside of him, a voice like a dragon from within, told Anakin that Palpatine is right. And Palpatine simply told Anakin that he must ask himself who he wants to be. Anakin did consider this, and now he remembered the compassion from Plo Koon and the Jedi, his love from Padme, what Padme would want him to be, the serenity of the temple, and he knew who he wanted to be. He put away his lightsaber, telling Palpatine that he was going to go to the Council, tell them all the truth about him. Palpatine snarled to himself. He felt no conflict within Anakin, so when Anakin turned, Palpatine reached out his fingers, blasting powerful lightning towards Anakin. But before it reached him, Plo Koon and Obi-Wan arrived, and Plo got in front of Anakin, firing his own yellow lightning back at Palpatine. It pierced through the Sith lightning, striking Palpatine in the chest, sending him crashing down into the desk. Plo and Obi-Wan got here just in time, and Plo called upon an old power called Electric Judgment, the Jedi counter to Sith lightning. And as Palpatine got back up, he was faced with Plo Koon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin, all three of them with lightsabers ignited. Darth Sidious, his eyes gleaming with a newly revealed darkness, curled his lips into an evil smile as his own red blade ignited for battle. He stared down the Jedi, telling them they will die, just like their friends, Windu and Yoda. He glared at Plo the most, angry at him for arriving on the invisible hand and disrupting all of his plans. But the Jedi were ready for this fight, and Plo Koon surged forward first, swinging at Palpatine with a strong set of strikes, which Sidious quickly countered, movements a blur of red as he parried each attack. The room filled with the sharp sounds of clashing blades, as Obi-Wan was moving in tandem with Plo, his blades slicing through the air with a defensive set, seeking openings in the Sith Lord's own defense. Anakin attacked with raw power, trying to hold off from using the dark side, as he knew that is what Palpatine wanted. The office became a storm of flashing blades exploding against each other as the four of them moved into the office halls. Furniture splintered and shattered under the stray lightsaber strikes and blasts of the Force. Sidious hurled bursts of lightning that crackled and arced through the room, forcing the Jedi to deflect or evade them. One of these blasts pushed Obi-Wan over, allowing Sidious to quickly force choke him. But before he could close his fist for the kill, Anakin cut into Sidious's shoulder. Obi-Wan fell to the ground as Plo and Anakin moved in, now able to disarm Sidious, and he was pushed to the ground as the Jedi held their sabers to his neck. Palpatine erupted into laughter, asking Plo what was going to happen now. Would he kill an unarmed prisoner? Brand himself as a cold-blooded murderer? Anakin looked at Plo, and the two of them shared an understanding. This was different than Dooku, and together, Plo and Anakin quickly cut through Palpatine, as he gasped, then died. He did not expect him to actually kill him, but the Jedi agreed he was far too dangerous to be left alive. And with Palpatine dead, the Jedi were able to take the security recordings from in here, bring them before the Senate, before anyone even realized what had happened. Plo, Kenobi, and Skywalker played the recordings for all to hear, as Palpatine admitted he killed Dooku, Yoda, and Windu, then told the Jedi he would do the same to them. The Senate had the truth, and the galaxy would thank the Jedi for doing what had to be done. In the end, the Council would vote Plo Koon into the role of Grand Master, and he would make Anakin a Jedi Master while allowing him to keep his Council seat. The seats of Yoda and Windu would go into rotation every week, as every week 2 new Masters would take the seats for fresh perspectives on everything. Anakin would be with Padme as she gave birth, taking time away from politics after Bail Organa was voted in as the new Chancellor. Anakin was able to calm his stress about Padme dying, thanks to Obi-Wan, Plo Koon, and Ahsoka helping him after returning with Maul in captivity. The galaxy was at peace, as Grand Master Plo looked out of the Council window, feeling the presence of Yoda around him, ready to take on the unique challenge of leading the Jedi Order. And folks, that is our story for today. A little Plo Koon story for the day. I really wanted to do this one for a while, but I just, was looking for a good idea for it, and I decided, hey, what if Plo Koon was in the invisible hand to help Anakin from killing Dooku? How would events play out from there? And, everything goes differently from that moment on, pretty much. Dooku's taken prisoner, they want to kill Dooku, Palpatine bombs everyone, Yoda, Windu included. Yeah, so, I debated having Plo Koon and Obi-Wan die in that explosion too, and then having Anakin go on his own story, but I wanted to keep Plo alive and have him kind of be the focal point of this story. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. What'd you think of the battle in space between Plo and Grievous? I thought that was fun to write, so hope you guys enjoyed listening. Thanks for watching, and of course, I'll see you in the next video.